Namaste students, welcome to our social class. In the previous class we learnt about the location of the Thar desert and we even learnt about the features of the Thar desert. In today's class also we have something interesting, very interesting topic in today's class. Okay, before we begin, let me ask you a question. Imagine you are living in a desert. Imagine that you are living in a desert. What type of food will you eat? What kind of clothes will you wear? What kind of houses will you live in? Okay, in a desert, what type of food, what type of clothes and what type of house? Think about it. Meanwhile, we will read a story from our textbook, okay, our Exceed content book. Okay, the story's name is Aastha's Pot. Aastha's Pot. Okay, we'll read about this girl called Aastha. She lives in Rajasthan. And what type of food is she eating? What kind of clothes? Okay, what kind of houses? All the information is hidden in this story. Let us identify. Let us find this information. Right? Come on, let us read. So we are going to read about Aastha. Okay, the story of Aastha who lives in Rajasthan. Aastha ate the bajra rotis and looked inside the pot. Aastha ate the bajra rotis and looked inside the pot. There was no water inside the pot. She had to go to the stream. It was a long walk. The sand was hot and Aastha wished she was a camel. Okay. So who was eating bajra rotis? Aastha was eating bajra rotis. Okay. She ate the rotis and she looked inside the pot. There was no water in the pot. She had to go to the stream and it was a long walk. The sand was hot and Aastha wished she was a camel. Soon, even the water in the stream would disappear. Summer had just started in Rajasthan. Aastha wore her gagra choli and set out to collect water. She wrote a note on the mud wall of her hut, telling her brother where she had gone. Aastha could read and write now. Her parents were laborers and had gone to work. Aastha reached the stream. It was almost dry. How she wished it would rain, but it hardly did. Okay, she wished that it should rain, but it never did. Okay, it hardly did. Okay. Now students, after reading the story of Aastha's pot from the textbook, what did you learn from this story? What kind of information, okay? What kind of information did you get about Aastha's lifestyle? Where does she live? What kind of food does she eat? What kind of clothes does she wear? How is the climate there? What does Aastha wish for? Can she read and write? Who are her parents? What work they do? There is so much information hidden in the small story of Aastha's pot. Let us discuss now. Okay, you also can draw a word web in your class workbook. Take 2 pages. Take 2 pages, okay, in your notebook and draw a word web. Okay, in the middle of the word web, you are going to write these words: Aastha's pot. What did we learn about Aastha in this story? What kind of food? She eats bajra rotis. Okay, Aastha eats bajra rotis. Okay, here I have drawn 2 rotis here, right? And Aastha goes on a long walk in the hot sand that is not very good, na? We don't like to walk on the hot sand. Okay, and she wishes to be a camel. Why does Asta wishes to be a camel? Because camels can only easily walk in the hot sand. So Asta wished that, oh, I should have been the animal camel. Next, where does Asta live? Asta lives in Rajasthan. If you underline this verse in the story, then you win everything. You'll know the life of the people in the desert. Why did they give this story for you? For you to understand the lifestyle of people in the desert. How do they live? Right? And she went to the water stream and she found that there is no water in the stream. In summer season, I told you that in the river Luni also it gets dried up. It is a seasonal river. So even when Asta wanted to collect water from the stream, she walked a long distance. There was no water in the stream at all. Right? And what does she wear? See, here I have drawn a beautiful dress here. Asta wears Gagra Choli. Okay? The people in Rajasthan wear Gagra Choli. What is Gagra Choli? A tight blouse with a long bodhni, okay, unstitched cloth, and a very big long skirt which is decorated with mirrors and lot of embroidery. Okay, and where does she live? Okay, her house is a hut which is made up of mud walls. I told you in the previous class also why the walls are made with mud in Rajasthan. Because the temperature is very high, very hot climate. They build mud walls so that the house remains cool. Okay, the hut remains cool. And now another good thing about Asta's life is that she can read and write. Now Asta can read and write. How do we know? In the story it is mentioned that before going to get the water from the stream, Asta writes on the mud wall a message to her brother about where she is going. From that we can know that Asta can read and write. And who are Asta's parents? Asta's parents are laborers. Okay, they work on daily wages. And when she goes to the river, okay, stream, okay, water body, the water body got dried up because it is summer season. This is the life of Asta, students. We learnt about the food, what kind of shelter, what kind of clothes, what she wishes, who are her parents, can she read and write, and what kind of clothes she wears. All this we learnt about Asta's life. Okay, Asta's life. So this is the life of also the people in the desert. Right, students? So how is the climate in the deserts? Okay, in Rajasthan the climate is hot. It is very hot. Okay, hot sand. People can't walk in the hot sand. And why do people build their houses with mud? Because mud has the it gives cooling effect. That is the reason we prefer to drink water from a mud pot in summer season. So this mud things have the cooling effect. That is the reason they build their houses with mud. Right? And they walk long distances. Why do you think they walk long distances for water? Because there is a problem of water. Water is very less. Water is limited. That is the reason they'll walk long distances in search of streams of water. Even when they go to the streams, sometimes the streams get dried up. Because in summer season, everything will get dried up. There is very, very less rainfall. Sometimes no rainfall at all. That was the life about, that was the people's life in the deserts. Okay, in Rajasthan. How is the life in Rajasthan? Their houses, their food, their clothes, everything. Now, an interesting question for you students. The question is, if Asta, okay, we all know that Asta lives in a desert, but if Asta would have been living in the northern plains, if Asta lived in northern plains, what kind of clothes would she have been wearing? What kind of food she have been eating? And what kind of house she'll be living in? And do you think she'll have the water problem? This is the question, students. If Asta lived in northern plains, what kind of life it would have been? That is the question. Now you are going to answer. Guess the answer. Asta's life would have been totally different. It would have been completely changed. The food, clothes and everything will be changed. Because the climate is very cool in the northern plains. So Asta will be eating such kind of food which will keep her body warm. She'll wear such kind of clothes which keep her warm, like woolen clothes she'll be wearing. Right. So, and she won't have the problem of water because many rivers will be flowing in the northern plains. So that was about Asta's life. So we learned a lot about the lifestyle in the desert. Hoping that you have understood the lesson well. Also, don't forget to read the lesson well and underline all the important points, which whatever you feel is important and whichever words you want to underline, you can underline, students. Also learn them. Now for today's homework, right? Your homework, children. Today's homework. Take your workbook, social workbook, finish S2. In this worksheet, a lot of questions are there about what kind of food do people in the desert eat. Okay, in Rajasthan, what kind of clothes do they wear? Okay, what kind of houses they live in, and how is the climate there? All this information is hidden in Asta's Spot story. Even if you have any doubts regarding these answers, you can read the lesson once again, students. Food, clothing, houses, and what are the problems, what kind of animals, what kind of trees, such kind of questions are there in the worksheet. And the second homework is open your notebook and copy the question from page number 74. Open textbook, page number 74, and copy the question number, practice question number 5. Okay, textbook page number 74, practice question number 5. Copy in your social classwork and answer the question. What is this question? What kind of lifestyle can be found in the desert of Rajasthan? Okay, what kind of life can be found in the desert of Rajasthan? So in the answer you will be mentioning all about the life in Rajasthan. What you can write point wise also. Write about the climate, write about the physical features, that the sand dunes are found everywhere. It is very, climate is very hot. Scarcity of water is there, that is the problem, water problem is there. People live in mud houses, they eat bajra rotis. What kind of clothes do wear? Okay, what kind of work they wear? Okay, as mentioned as laborers, or what kind of everything you can write about it in your classwork, students. I know that you all can do it. Even if you get a doubt also, read the lesson once, ask the spot and remaining part. Definitely you'll do it very well. Do it in good handwriting, students. That's all for today. Have a nice day, students.